The last call for help, the galaxy was breaking. Somewhere deep beyond the Zareth system, an entire colony had gone silent. The Union's long-range scanners caught a distress signal just once. And then, nothing, no reply, no ships, no life signs. The message had been short. Please, help us. They're already inside, After that, silence. The Galactic Council called for aid. Ships from other species refused. Too dangerous, too far, too unknown. The colony was small, not important, but Earth responded. Not with diplomats, not with scientists. They sent a name, Black Flag. Unit. The message arrived with only one sentence. You called, we are coming. No one on the council said anything. Everyone had heard. Of them, Earth's most secret military division, not used for war, used for containment. Where they landed, no one returned. Not enemies, not evidence. Now they were answering the call. 3 Terran warships broke through slipspace, dark and silent. No banners, no beacons. Their surfaces were painted black, matte, invisible to most tracking systems. Aboard the lead ship, Oblivion Core, Commander Elias Creed stood staring at the holographic display of the colony below. His voice was calm, cold, touched out in 5 minutes. All Black Flag units prepare for dark ops. 12 soldiers responded, each one standing in silence, helmets locked, weapons already charged. Their armor wasn't just metal. It was alive, nano-reactive plating with neural sync, machines that moved like muscle. One soldier, codename Ash, checked his wrist module. He didn't speak. He never did. His file was redacted even for Earth's command. Only 2 words were visible on his record, used once. The colony looked peaceful from orbit, but peace was a lie. The Oblivion Core landed in the main square. No response from the colony's systems. Lights were flickering. No movement, no bodies. But food was still on tables. Steam still rising from half-filled mugs. Too fresh, Creed said. Whatever happened, it was recent. The squad spread out, silent. Precise. 1 moved into the command tower. Power was low. Logs corrupted. Another found signs of struggle. Blood, not human, dark blue, sticky, still warm. Something had been here, something fast. Then the first sound came, a soft voice, a whisper, help me. The squad froze. It was a child's voice, faint, weak, but the thermal scanners showed nothing. Commander Creed gave a signal. They moved toward the voice's origin, a school building, desks untouched, toys scattered. No children, only one teddy bear lying. In the center of the floor, still warm. Ash stepped forward and picked it up. The moment he did, the lights in the building shut off. Total darkness. Then a second voice spoke from the shadows. Not a child, not human. They came for us. Now we come for you. The entire building shook. Walls shifted. And something moved inside the ceiling, crawling. Fast, with metal-like claws. Ash activated his visor. His voice came through, quiet but clear. Not a rescue. It's a trap. Back at the ship, the AI systems lit up. Unauthorized signal detected. It wasn't from the planet. It was from beneath it. Deep inside the crust. Something had built a network, buried, hidden, watching. Creed looked at the signal and narrowed his eyes. They weren't asking for help. They were warning us. Too late, outside, the ground cracked open. Something long and sharp rose through the dust. Not a creature, not a ship, but a fusion of both, breathing, mechanical, alien, and it was watching them. No eyes, no face, just movement. The squad locked. Weapons surrounding Creed in a circle. Ash stepped forward and whispered something only his team could hear. "Let's clean this place." Creed nodded once. Black Flag Protocol 0, containment. He looked toward the sky and spoke one. "Final message to Earth Command. We've confirmed the threat. Tell the galaxy. Their last hope is the one they fear most. Asterisk, the silent colony. The colony was still. Too still. Commander Elias." Creed stepped over the broken steel door of the central control room. His boots made no sound. The air was heavy, like it had been waiting. Behind him, Ash scanned the walls with his arm-mounted sensor. The readings made no sense. Life signatures appeared, then vanished, like shadows teasing the edge of existence. Sergeant Voss, the squad's tech operative, tapped into the colony's internal comms. "Mainframe's been wiped clean," he said. "No logs, no security feeds. It's like this place doesn't remember itself." Outside, in the courtyard, the other Black Flag soldiers moved between half-burnt vehicles and shattered glass. They found weapons on the ground, never fired, not a single body. No blood, no bones, just the absence of everything. "They left nothing behind," one soldier whispered. "No, worse," Ash replied. "They erased what was here." Inside the central tower, Creed discovered a cracked control panel. He powered it manually. The screen flickered, glitched, then flashed to life. For just 2 seconds, an image appeared. A face, not human. Pale skin, too many eyes, and a smile that didn't belong to any known species. The image vanished. Then a voice filled the room. Calm, dry. "You brought weapons. But this was never a fight. It was always memory." The squad froze. "It's using our systems," Voss whispered, "hijacking whatever's left." "No," Creed said. "It is the system now." Further east, the warehouse doors were slightly open. Private Cameron and Corporal Drax pushed them apart and stepped inside. The lights inside flickered. Dust floated like ashdot. Dozens of empty suits lay on the floor, civilian clothes, personal, armor, backpacks, all collapsed, untouched. Like their owners simply vanished mid-step. Drax reached down and picked up a necklace from the floor. It vibrated in his palm. He frowned and turned to Cameron. But Cameron was gone. Not a sound, just ... "Gone, Cameron," Drax said, backing toward the exit. Nothing. Only the slow creak of metal from above. He looked up and screamed, but by the time the team reached the warehouse, Drax's comm was offline. His helmet lay on the floor. No blood, just static where he once stood. Ash crouched and scanned the area. No teleportation, no cloaking, no physical entry or exit. Creed looked at him, then how did they take him? Ash stood up slowly. They didn't take him. They deleted him. Back on the command ship, the AI tried to send a warning message to Earth, but the system froze mid-dash transmission. An error message appeared. Recipient no longer exists. The comms officer stared in horror. The Earth relay had vanished from the galactic map, not blocked, not jammed, just erased, as if Earth had never been there. Meanwhile, Ash explored a tunnel below the school building where the child's voice was first heard. The tunnel wasn't mapped. It wasn't even part of the colony's construction. The walls were made of strange, metals, smooth, seamless, faintly glowing. He followed it in silence. Then he saw it, dozens of human faces imprinted in the metal, not sculpted, pressed into it, expressions frozen in fear. Ash touched the surface. It was warm, alive. And when he stepped back, one face opened its eyes. His own dot above, Creed ordered a retreat. Not because they were losing, but because something deeper was unfolding. Something not physical, not military. The colony was not just a place anymore. It was thinking, hunting, and learning. Creed's final words, before extraction, echoed in the squad's private channel. This isn't an enemy you kill. It's one you remember. And the more we remember, the more real it becomes. Shadows that see orbiting high above the dead colony. The Oblivion core held position in total silence. No chatter, no updates. Just slow data coming in from the ground team what little remained. Inside the war room, Commander Creed stared at the feed from Ash's helmet. Still image, static, and one frozen frame, a wall glowing faintly, with Ash's face staring back. He's alive, Creed muttered, or something wants us to think he is. Below, inside the unnatural tunnel, Ash moved slowly. His senses were blind. His weapons had stopped responding, but something in the metal whispered, not with words, not with sound, but through memory. He was remembering things he never lived. Children screaming, colonies falling, species begging for help. He saw visions of hundreds of planets erased, not destroyed, forgotten. He realized something horrifying. This isn't a creature, it's a collector of memory. Back at the surface, Sergeant Voss accessed the colony's damaged mainframe. He finally unlocked one deep log. Untouched until now. It was a video, short, unstable. It showed the final meeting of the colony's leaders. They weren't under attack. They were bargaining with something unseen, off-screen. The voice in the footage was distorted, slow, layered like 10 people speaking at once. Give us your memories. We will leave your bodies. Then static, then screaming. Outside, the squad noticed something stranger. Buildings began to shift, not move, change. One structure, once a tower, was now a smooth dome. When they checked the maps, there was no record of a tower ever being. There it was, as if the colony was rewriting itself in real time, erasing history, replacing reality. Creed clenched his jaw. It's turning the colony into a version of itself, bit by bit. Private Rice spoke up, shaky. Sir, how do you fight something that edits the past? No one answered. Deep below, Ash reached a chamber. It was massive, walls curved upward, covered in those same metal faces, hundreds now. Some alien, some human, all twisted in fear. In the center stood a figure, humanoid, black, shifting like smoke and glass. It had no eyes, but Ash felt it watching. The figure spoke without moving its mouth. You are made of stories. Remove the story, and you are gone. Ash aimed his weapon. I'm not here to talk. But when he fired, the weapon dissolved. Midair melted into memory. The figure tilted its head. We've eaten stronger than you. Ash took a slow step forward, but not smarter. He placed something on the ground. A neural echo trap. A weapon not made of force but of record. It began to pulse, recording everything around it, locking the room's memory. The creature screamed, not from pain, from being seen, from being defined back on the surface. Creed felt the tremor. The ground shook, but no sound followed. Then all screens across the Oblivion core flickered. Every screen now showed Ash standing inside the memory chamber, and the figure behind him, unraveling, pulled apart not by bullets but by data, by being known. But the victory was short. Ash's voice came through, calm. I trapped it here, but this place is its seed. Creed's voice was firm. We're coming for you. Ash shook his head. No. If you come back, it spreads. This place needs to be locked. The team hesitated, but Creed knew Ash had already decided. One final order was given. The Oblivion core launched a black beacon, a Terran quarantine marker, something feared across the galaxy. It didn't explode, it didn't burn, it simply deleted all navigation data around the colony to every system in the galaxy. The planet now no longer existed. It was lost, not by accident, but by design. The last signal from Ash: tell the galaxy, don't call Earth again, unless you're ready to see what we remember. And then silence. Earth's dark protocol far from the lost colony. In a classified zone orbiting Saturn, an Earth-based listening post came to life. No sirens, no flashing lights, just one red dot blinking on a black screen. The AI confirmed it. Code Echo 0 had been activated. Ash had triggered. Dark Protocol. Earth didn't celebrate. Earth didn't panic. Earth simply moved in the underground command core beneath the Arctic shelf. 5 figures walked into a circular chamber. Each one wore a black coat with no name tag, no rank, no country. One of them placed their hand on a cold console and said 2 words: begin tracelock. Across dozens of systems, Terran black satellites turned. They didn't orbit planets. They drifted in the void, always quiet, always watching. Now they aligned, and something long buried beneath Mars began to pulse. Back at the Galactic Council, leaders from dozens of species met to discuss the colony's disappearance. But before anyone could speak, the lights went dark. A message played on every screen. Not from the Council, from Earth. This is not your war. It never was. You asked for help, but help comes at a price. Then a map appeared. The planet they had begged Earth to rescue was now marked Null Zone. One counselor whispered, they didn't rescue it. They removed it. Another asked, from what? No one had an answer. On Earth, a unit called Ghost Division 3 boarded a ship with no name. It had no windows, no weapon ports, just one purpose: memory lockdown. These humans weren't soldiers, they were architects of absence. Where they landed, history collapsed. Even time refused to remember them. Inside the ship's briefing room, the leader codename Miradash spoke. His voice was slow, cold. The colony was not the target. It was the doorway, and one of our own stayed behind. He paused, then added, not to fight, to anchor it. The crew said nothing. They already knew. Ash hadn't failed. He had become the seal. Meanwhile, Earth's black archive, I nicknamed Eli, Earth-level intelligence, began sending data packets to key outposts. Not warnings, instructions. Project Forget-Me-Not was now online. Entire records of the colony were erased from Earth's official systems. The colony's name was wiped. Its coordinates vanished. Even old civilian memories connected to it, quietly rewritten. No more stories, no more search, just silence. 1. Commander asked Eli, why such extreme action? Eli responded in its mechanical tone. The threat cannot be studied. It cannot be analyzed. It learns through attention and humanity. We learned how to starve it. Somewhere in the galaxy, a bounty hunter tried to trace the colony's last known signal. His ship's systems crashed. He rebooted, only to find his own name removed from the bounty registry as if he never existed, and a message hovered on his screen. You looked where you were told not to. Forget or be forgotten. On Earth, in a small, quiet chamber deep under the Andes Mountains, an old man watched the satellite feed in silence. He had been part of the first contact team decades ago when the galaxy laughed at humanity's attempt to join. They weren't ready, they said. Too emotional, too primitive, too unstable, but Earth remembered every insult and built something the galaxy didn't understand. Not weapons, not fleets, but protocols. A way to deal with what could not be explained. The man turned to a small plaque on the wall. It said, "Oblivion is not failure. It is the final defense." Up above, in orbit, Ghost Division 3's nameless ship passed through a lightless gate. Destination unknown. Purpose classified. Inside, one soldier opened a file marked Ash Last Transmission. It was audio only. Ash's voice was calm. "If you're hearing this, don't come for me. I'm not a person anymore. I'm the lock." Then static, and then silence. Earth closed the file. The protocol was complete, the memory sealed, and for now, the galaxy would sleep peacefully, only because Earth had learned how to erase what others could not face. The reckoning begins. The stars around the null zone began to flicker, not because they were failing, because something was moving, something too large to measure, too strange to scan. It wasn't a fleet, it wasn't a being, it was the echo of something that had once touched the minds of thousands of species and made them forget. And now it was pushing back. On board the Oblivion core, Creed stood in front of a black wall of data, shifting, glitching, rewriting itself in real time. A whispering pattern had begun to show across every encrypted system. Ash's name kept appearing, then disappearing, then appearing again, with one added word: open. Creed understood immediately. It's trying to break him. It's trying to unlock the seal. Sergeant Voss leaned forward. "Sir, if it gets through Ash, it learns Earth. It learns us. At Earth's deep memory station 4, 3 minds connected to the sealed neural network Ash had left behind. They weren't just soldiers. They were memory architects, trained to walk through thought, pain, and fear. They entered the link and found him. Ash was still there, standing alone inside the void of the erased colony, surrounded by structures, ghostly echoes of people who no longer existed, and the creature circling him, changing shape every second. "It wants through," Ash said. "It's pretending to be me now." The Mindwalkers nodded. "Then let's show it. What it really means to be human." Above the null zone, Earth's Ghost Division 3 returned, but they weren't alone. They brought something new. A weapon not forged from metal or plasma. A weapon made of data trapped, inverted, and encoded with rage. A capsule was dropped onto the planet's surface. Inside was a complete simulation of Earth's darkest memories: war, betrayal, famine, extinction-level fear, all the worst things Earth had survived. They called it Project Nightvault. It wasn't a bomb. It was a mirror, designed to force any sentient being to experience what humanity never forgot. The creature tried to reject it, But it couldn't, because the memories weren't just shown, they were felt. Children lost in fire, cities broken in silence, flesh turned to ash. Voices screaming in languages long dead. The thing that fed on forgetting had to remember. It howled, not from pain, but from identity, because now it knew what it had touched. Earth wasn't just dangerous, it was unforgettable. Ash, still inside, watched it twist, collapse, rebuild itself again, but slower now, weaker. It couldn't understand why, so he told it. We don't run from memory, we carry it. That's why you'll never survive us. The creature tried to flee, but Nightvault was already inside it, and Earth had one last message. Asterisk across every terminal still connected to the mission. One final countdown began. They called for help, and got held. The stars above the null zone flickered once more, then went still, completely still. For the first time in recorded galactic history, a sector had no movement, no signal, no gravity shifts, no time drift, just silence. And silence, the galaxy had learned, no longer meant peace. It meant Earth had been there in the Council of Allied Species. Arguments broke out across every floor. Some leaders shouted that Earth had gone too far. Others whispered that Earth had done what no one else could and should be thanked. But no one dared speak loud enough, because all across the galactic networks a message played in perfect sync. Mission complete. Containment enforced. Earth requests no contact. Not again. Not ever. The message wasn't a threat. It was a boundary, a final line, a wall between Earth and everyone else. On Earth, Commander Elias Creed stood inside the quiet hall, a place where no communication was allowed. It was a chamber of memory, built after the first Terran Wars. The walls were lined with names, soldiers, scientists, civilians, people who made humanity's survival possible by carrying its pain. One new name was being carved in now, a sectioner rank. No last name, just that one word, the man who stayed behind, not to fight, but to seal. In orbit above Earth, the Oblivion Core drifted in low silence. Ghost Division 3 stood ready, emotionless. The team that launched Nightvault had been given a single order: never speak of what you saw. Never write of what you did. You no longer exist on paper, but your silence protects us all. They didn't argue, because they understood. This was no longer about winning. This was about guarding the galaxy from itself. Elsewhere in the galaxy, a young alien captain tried to trace the call that Earth had answered. She didn't understand what had happened. She wanted to help. She sent one message to Earth, just one word: why? Her system responded with static. Then a final answer, not from Earth's military, not from any ship, but from Eli, the cold Earth-based memory AI. Because you asked for help, and sometimes help burns more than the enemy ever could. On thousands of worlds, people whispered stories of what happened. Some said Earth wiped out a new species. Others believed they sealed a nightmare. A few called them monsters, but most said nothing at all, because they knew the truth. Now Earth is not the sword. Earth is the silence after the sword. The thing that comes when fear becomes memory, and somewhere deep beyond mapped space, far from every star chart, a single black object drifted. It had no beacon, no crew, only a plaque inside. Its core: here lies the memory. Do not wake it. Do not speak of it. You called for help. This was your answer. Earth continued on, quiet, watching, prepared, because the galaxy would forget again someday. And when they did, Earth would be ready. Not with fleets, not with fleets, not with weapons, but with a name, a story, a reminder. They called for help and got hell.